Today's episode of Daily Variety is presented by City National Bank, proud sponsor of Power of Law, where the entertainment industry's most influential dealmakers take center stage. City National Bank provides specialized financial solutions for entertainment lawyers and firms, so you can navigate complex deals with confidence. Learn more at cnb.com/entertainment. City National is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Welcome to Daily Variety, your daily dose of news and analysis for entertainment industry insiders. It's Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. I'm your host, Cynthia Littleton. I am co-editor-in-chief of Variety alongside Ramin Satuda. I'm in LA, he's in New York, and Variety has reporters around the world covering the business of entertainment. On today's episode, in our cover story segment, Variety's Michael Schneider details his reporting and the incredible access he received to cover the fifth and final season of HBO Max's beloved comedy Hacks. And it's Power of Law Day! Woohoo! Variety today publishes in print and online our annual Power of Law issue. It includes the Legal Impact Report featuring top legal eagles who are leading the charge in entertainment and media law. Cindy Lin, Executive Director of UCLA's Ziffren Institute for Media, Entertainment, Technology, and Sports, joins us to discuss the big developments for barristers over the past year. But before we get to all that, here are a few headlines just in this morning that you need to know. Save these dates. The Motion Picture Academy has set the dates for the next two Oscar ceremonies. The 99th Oscars will be held Sunday, March 14th, 2027. The 100th annual gathering is set for March 5th, 2028. Tubi, the indie streamer and film distribution company, has struck a deal with investment fund manager IPRVC to bankroll a slate of prestigious European auteur-driven films. My colleague Elsa Kaslasi has the scoop. All of these stories and so much more can be found on Variety.com right now. And now it's time for conversations with Variety journalists about news and trends in show business. Michael Schneider, Variety's television editor, was given rare access to chronicle the fifth and final season of Hacks. He was there for the final day of shooting in the United States. It's been quite a ride for Deborah Vance and company. Michael Schneider, my goodness, you have delivered us a cover story, really quite a portrait of Hacks, not just in season 5, but the whole journey of this incredible show that defied the odds. Mike, you had incredible access to cover season 5. Tell us some of the memories, the experiences that stand out to you from your very exclusive perch behind the scenes, talking to the key creators and the stars.
Well, the most exciting part, of course, is that I got to fly actually to Vegas and witness in person the final day of shooting in America for the show. So it was quite a treat to be there and to feel a part of that family in standing and talking to Gene Smart and Hannah Einbeiner and the rest of the cast and producers and share in sort of the melancholy feeling that they had as they were winding down and shooting some of their last scenes.
You always learn so much when you observe people in those situations where they're waiting to do a scene. What kind of stuff did you observe about the body language, how the cast and crew, how they all related to each other?
It felt like the producers knew these were the exact scenes to do on the final day. They must have switched around schedules to make sure that everyone was in scenes together. Some of the final scenes I got to witness, they were just having a ball, sharing these last moments together, laughing together, and also tearing up together as one by one, the producer said, that's a series wrap on this character, or this is a U.S. series wrap on other characters.
Jean Smart, what kind of things was she reflecting on?
She was feeling very nostalgic, thinking about the last long-running show that she was a part of, which of course was Designing Women, but she was at a very different point of her life at that point. She had just gotten married when she did Designing Women. She was just starting to have kids. So she wasn't as zeroed in necessarily on the day to day of working on a show. And that also was a multi camera comedy where you're not spending as much time with the crew. With Hacks, though, it was very different. She was working, living with these folks day in and day out. And of course, as I go into detail in my story, there was so much going on personally with both her and with the show and with Los Angeles, all sort of leading to this group of people bonding like few productions you've seen because they've gone through so much together. And so I think this is something that will really stand the test of time for everyone involved with this show.
Deborah Vance is such a TV character for the ages. Even just the character name now embodies so much about people. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you had Hannah Einbinder, who had very little on-camera experience before Hacks, and she has not only has her profile as an actor grown, but she tells you, and very candidly, just about how much she has grown as a person during the course of this series.
Yeah, one of the things she points out is when she started this show, she was just 24, and now she's hovering around 30. So she feels like she really did grow up, come of age, working on this show. And it gave her a whole new perspective on what she wanted to do for a living. She was convinced that she was really just going to be a stand up. She really wasn't thinking at all about acting. But this role came along, a role of a lifetime to some degree, and it really gave her a whole new career and a whole new perspective on what she wanted to do with her life and who she is as a person. By the way, it's also given her just more strength. Being in the spotlight is hard to begin with when you're someone that young, but she's never been afraid to speak her truth, and that's caused a lot of folks to really hammer against her, and she's gotten plenty of criticism online, and she's had to deal with that. But she's still really upbeat and really just isn't willing to back down and has real strength of character, probably even more so. And I think being in the limelight through Hacks really gave her that, really developed that strong personality that she has.
The three secret weapons behind Hacks, of course, are its three creators, Lucia Aniello, Paul W. Downs, who also plays Jimmy, a key role, and Jen Statsky. This trio has been steadfast, and they have all been on the show the whole run. Oftentimes, producers will leave, but they have so clearly loved this. It's their baby, and Paul and Lucia literally had a baby during the run of the show. Obviously, Paul and Lucia are a couple, so there's that bond there, but the friendship between them, the way they just so protect the show, it's an interesting arrangement of executive producer, showrunner, director. They're all multi-hyphenates. Having covered them for a long time now, what do you think about that factor? What has that trio and their disparate skills brought to Hacks?
It starts with them. This was their passion project for years, and a show that they really had an idea from the beginning what they wanted this to be. And, they all have their own strengths. They're all excellent writers, obviously, but Lucia really led the pack as the director. She's won DJ awards for this. Paul, of course, on camera. And Jen came from the world of late night. And so that, played a big part of last season when they parodied late night. And she has that strong writing background from that world. So you put them all together, and they all had their own strengths that came together and built this really remarkable show. That the attention to detail on Hacks comes from a place of just passion, wanting to do the best job possible. And you can see it in the work, in the production, down to even the graphic design on the show, the production design, everything that they really spend time thinking about, hashing about, making sure it's the best possible of it all.
Of course, Variety has had sort of a special relationship with Hacks over the years. In season 3, Variety's Mark Malkin, who everybody knows from the red carpet, he did a cameo in season 3 of Hacks. And then in season 4, you and Kate Arthur, Variety's managing editor, did more than a cameo. You were in a press conference scene. I know these things happen organically, but what was the spark that created this great relationship between Variety and Hacks?
I think there's a mutual respect, and also just a love for storytelling, a love for this industry, and so in a weird way, it made sense. They wanted the most authentic press conference possible for the announcement that Deborah Vance was starting her own talk show. So why not have real journalists interview Deborah Vance? Same with On the Red Carpet. Why not have real red carpet journalists there, which is why Mark Malkin was there. So again, it goes back to that attention to detail.
Mike, let me close by asking you, of course, no spoilers. What can you tell us about season 5, which, as I understand, you've seen most, if not all of?
Last season, things got to probably their darkest between Deborah and Ava, and we've seen that redemption story already begin. They're in a much different place now, the two of them, and I think you'll see the show end on some of the funniest moments of the entire series, by the way, happen this season, but also some of the probably most poignant moments. And all I got to say is grab those tissues. Grab those tissues.
I have no doubt we'll be talking more about it. Mike, thank you for working hard. You spent months on and off working on this story, and you really brought it home.
Thanks, Cynthia.
And now we turn to Cindy Lin, Executive Director of UCLA Law's Ziffren Institute for Media, Entertainment, Technology, and Sports. On tomorrow's episode, we'll have highlights from our Power of Law breakfast event being held this morning in West Hollywood. To set the table, Lynn joins me to discuss AI, changing rules around name, image, and likeness, and other cutting-edge issues for lawyers. Cindy Lin, Executive Director of the Ziffren Institute for Media, Entertainment, Technology, and Sports. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Well, it seemed like a great fit because Variety is celebrating our annual Power of Law issue that is published today in print and online. We are gathering with a few hundred of our favorite lawyers at our annual Power of Law breakfast. We look forward to this issue. This time of year, we get to touch base with the absolute top legal eagles in our profession, and we get to talk to people about what are the issues, what are the areas of pressure, of conflict, where do we need legal light shined on issues? Where are new opportunities coming? And I know that these are exactly the kind of themes that you at UCLA Law and at the Ziffren Institute think about and study and debate all day long. You are very much at the front lines of the young minds that are coming into the legal profession. The entertainment industry is going through a period of great transition, and people need lawyers. How are your courses and programs supporting students in the education they need to tackle the cutting edge issues that they're going to experience as they go into the field?
This is, of course, what we pride our program on. Obviously, our courses provide a mix of foundational doctrinal issues, IP law, corporate law, labor law, cracks. But more excitingly, our curriculum provides a lot of specialized electives. And our specialized electives are taught by industry leaders who are currently still in practice. So a lot of the power lawyers that you feature in your publication from year to year. And so the content of each course will change as the industry changes. So I was thinking of a few examples, and I'll start with a class we have called Entertainment Guilds. So this class is actually taught by Russell Wettinson, who's the head of entertainment and broadcast labor relations at NBCU. And in this class, students read and learn about the latest versions of agreements with all the guilds. So the WGA, the DGA, SAG-AFTRA. And depending on when they take the class, any of these guilds could be in negotiation or on strike. And in the last few years, the instructor has highlighted, for example, AI as one specific issue to discuss even in 2 full class courses. That's something that never happened until now.
It's such a gigantic topic. How have you gone about tackling it in a way that can be studied in kind of digestible portions?
I think curricularly, we were thinking, do we offer an AI class? Is that one way about it? Or do we instead inject AI or acknowledge AI in every topic that we teach? And the current method is the latter. So, I gave the example of the Entertainment Guilds class. Another example, I was recently talking to my colleague, Dale Cohen. He teaches a news media law class, and he's both the director of our documentary film legal clinic, which is also really special, and also he's senior special counsel at Frontline. Ken Ziffren himself teaches 2 seminars. He teaches a class called SVOD, AVOD Special Issues, and in that class, he sort of walks through the 7 major streamers talks about their business models, hotly debated issues like transparency, how each company calculates their profits and losses. I mean, this class changes every single minute. So if we were to teach it in the fall and the spring, it would change. But this year, of course, again, AI is coming up as a big topic. Every streamer has a different relationship with AI, and that will obviously affect the way that they look at their business. And so the students get to sit here and think about these issues in real time in the context of the different subject of classes that we offer.
You're so frontline with the students coming in every year. Are you seeing just attitudes toward AI itself? Are they changing as you see successive waves of students coming into the law? Do people attitudes about it changing?
I think so. I mean, my attitude has changed. I think I started from being a little cautious to and still cautious, but in a moment probably this academic year where I thought I need to use these tools and really understand how they work, or else I'm not a part of the conversation. With the students, they're younger and they're just quick to adopt and welcome new technologies in a way that I think the faculty may not be. Put a generational stamp on that. And so I think a lot of the students are really open to it. I think they're open to using it in their classes, in research, in thinking about how AI can affect the various pieces of the entertainment industry that we talked about, right? Content creation, the distribution of content, post production. I think they're more open to it and they seem less fearful and interested in just working with it and seeing how it could be incorporated into the space.
I think just that different perspective or that changing perspective is going to have an impact on how legal arguments are framed and conceived. It's interesting to see how those attitudes are evolving as the technology becomes more functional and more at our fingertips.
Now more than ever, we have to address it. It's hard to ignore and it's exciting. It changes so fast. One practical example that is both ever changing but also not changing that much is a clinic that we had from 2022 to 2025. We had a name, image, and likeness clinic that we developed with our athletics department.
Mhm.
Was It was really exciting. Like, we had the student athletes as clients. We trained law students to give them advice and counsel about their endorsement and sponsorship deals. And on the one hand, that seems really daunting because the NIL landscape is the Wild West and it just keeps changing and changing and changing.
And very timely given the change and the opportunities that have just absolutely opened up for athletes. That's a really great idea. Cindy, the Ziffren Institute every year, I have been an attendee, hosts a really fantastic UCLA entertainment symposium that breaks down a lot of these issues and talks about where the heat and the real cutting edge issues are in entertainment law. And you are coming up on your 50th annual
We're
event.
so excited.
What do you think some of the themes, what do you think people are going to be talking about at this year's symposium?
So, because it's the 50th year, I think this year we're really going to focus on the idea of legacy and change, and this year we will probably focus on the content creation side. And with respect to AI, we also think we're going to focus a bit on alternative distribution models and different audience strategies. I do have an announcement for everybody. I'll announce it on this podcast. Tom Wolzian, who has previously joined us, is going to make a return just for our special 50th anniversary. So he's going to do his classic industry overview and probably tell all of us what he got right and what he got wrong.
That will be prime time event because he was always such a clear-eyed and very objective and thoughtful analyst for so many years. I know a lot of people will want to hear what he makes of the Wild West of today for sure. That'll be great. Cindy, I am looking forward to seeing you in a little over 2 months again on the beautiful UCLA campus, June 18th, for the 50th annual UCLA Entertainment Symposium. Thank you for your time and talking through these issues with me.
And I thank you too. Thank you so much.
As we close out today's episode, here's a few things we're watching for. On Friday, You Are Not the Boss of Me. Here comes the Malcolm in the Middle reboot on Disney+. Hal and Lois Forever. I loved that show in its first incarnation. Don't miss my colleague Matt Donnelly's great story about how the long-stalled Madonna biopic became an arc on the upcoming season of The Studio. It's complete with the material girl herself. It's a good read. And don't forget to listen tomorrow for highlights from our Power of Law breakfast featuring conversations with filmmaker Paul Feig and our 2026 Power of Law honoree, Patricia Glazer. Before we go, congrats to Carrie Healy. She's been named Vice President of Communications for the National Association of Broadcasters. She was most recently with public affairs firm Purple Strategies, and before that, she worked in communications for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for listening. This episode was written and reported by me, Cynthia Littleton, with contributions from Michael Schneider. Sticks, nicks, hick, picks. Please leave us a review at the podcast platform of your choice, and please tune in tomorrow for another episode of Daily Variety.
This episode of Daily Variety is presented by City National Bank. For over 70 years, City National has proudly served the entertainment industry with banking solutions tailored to the unique needs of this business. From complex negotiations to long-term financial planning, City National supports the people and businesses behind the scenes. Visit cnb.com/entertainment to learn more. Here for every stage of the journey. City National is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.